wish I could tell you that, but I can't. But what I can say is just start making yourself aware of what's going on, but don't be so consumed by what you're seeing that you become afraid, that you don't want to go out. Or you become numb. That's a good point, Nate. Nate said, or you become numb to it, like you just don't care. So we need you to just continue to be.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
All right. Once again, it's on. We are back, and it is now time for one of my favorite parts of the show. It's our Battle of the Sexes sports trivia game, and tonight we have a very special guest who actually came in studio with us, and we also we have a caller.
I think we have a caller. Yeah. Hello, caller. We have.
Hello. This is Damon.
Damon, my name from last week.
Welcome back, Damon. Welcome back.
Right, we made it through the snowstorm. Everybody thawed out.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome to Sunset Soul Radio. I am your host, Love Dawn, and I have with me Mr. Maurice Good as my guest.
Hello, people.
Miss Lahsa G is en route. I hope everybody has. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even cut my own media down. I always tell everybody cut their media down. I hope everybody had an awesome Thursday. My day started off a bit slow, a bit sluggish. I think, because we've had some old crazy kind of weather lately. I'm not quite sure what it is. Our weather is what I consider undecided, double-minded is what I call it, because it's like warm, and then you have these really. Pull my mic closer. I'm scared. All right. Wait a minute, y'all. Am I doing it right? Woo, I'm sorry. Am I good? Okay. We've had these warm then cold days, and it's crazy because you go to bed and you kind of warm it and you wake up in the middle of the night freezing. I don't know. But anyhow, I'm thankful for my Thursday. Last week we were discussing online dating. I saw you comment on that show, and it was crazy because we had a couple people that were supposed to come here, and we had lined up that we were going to do a bit of matchmaking, and we were supposed to have a young lady come on with 2 or 3, 9 times out of 10, 2 eligible bachelors, and we were going to have the viewers choose who it was that they thought she should go out with. And no, it wasn't me. Everybody think it was me. It wasn't me. I was not going to be auctioned off. I'm just saying. I mean, I would have if they wanted me to, but that was not the case. But because, okay, in all seriousness, because of everything that happened in Texas over the weekend, and it's not just Texas. I mean, I'm quite sure, as I said in the video that I had put up online the other day, I'm sure that y'all have seen now that Baltimore is now in our 300th or more now. I think it's plus murders. I looked that up after you had put up some statistics the other day, and what is his name? I want to make sure I say his name right. Our spokesman for the police, TJ Smith, had made a correction and said that it was not 301, but it was 300. And I'm like, okay. I mean, not to say, and I'm quite sure the family of that other person might, but then come to find out it wasn't that it was not a murder, but it was a justifiable murder.
So we talking semantics.
Which took the number down from 301 to 300, but he made a point to make that correction, and I was kind of I understand the numbers game is important when it comes down to money and politics and all of that, but I don't understand why make that a big thing. Why is the one person that big of a difference? But I guess he did fix that, and I just felt like, though we like to have a good time on Sunset Soul, that's what we do. This is an outlet for us. Everybody work. We want to kind of once a week we get together. What we call cut the bobo, and we have a good time, and we definitely talk about things that are needed to discuss. But we like to have a good time doing it. But I felt like it would behoove us to have a conversation about the youth specifically. And of course, I had to bring back my good friend, Mr. Maurice, because that's your thing. That's what you do as far as helping You know, the community, not just the youth, but that is your thing, right? That's your
you know what's so funny about that is people has made that my thing. So like recently, someone, a gentleman up in Emerson Village, they stole his grill. He has this mobile grill, and someone stole it, right? And then someone tagged me and was like, Maurice Good can help you.
Like, yes, you better be the name that you call get things done. You just was that you? You put up the post about something had happened and somebody got robbed downtown.
Yep.
Right, and I tagged the mayor
in
it, in the post. Excuse me, I'm not sure if she get it or not, but I tagged in it.
Right. Oh
so
yeah.
That she can see it. But that's what people say of you. They see you being you are the spokesman for the people. But you know what though? That's what we need. We need, because everybody don't have the know-how or the backbone or the will or desire to speak up and stand up and you know, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I looked at for a long time. I'm a history buff.
Right.
Love history, African American history, love it. So I used to look at our grandparents or you know, our foreparents, and they would stand, you know, you hit them, they get back up, stand again, and stick the dog. All these videos you see, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Right.
I can't tell you I would do that. I'm not saying I wouldn't. I have to be in the situation to find out. Like, we were watching Selma and they would walk across the bridge and knowing that everybody about to get beat up, and I'm just going to still walk. I feel like there's something that could be done at home that I need to do that would be just as important. Like maybe getting all the ice together for everybody when they come back.
That's
you know,
real.
Bandages and stuff like that. Everything ain't for everybody.
And you know what? But that's real. And though you saw folks on the front lines, there was a lot of folks that was that was behind the scenes that made things happen. You know, I'm a person who I live by, you know whose shoulders you stand on.
Absolutely.
I live by that. And so, like, I'm very clear of the shoulders on whom I stand on, and I make sure that I tell young people, if you don't learn nothing else, learn the shoulders for whom you stand on, right? And so, not everybody was on the front lines for the civil rights movement. You had folks that was behind the scenes, that were writing checks, that were making sandwiches.
All that walking, they gonna need a good meal. Everybody can't be out there. That's how I felt. But with that being said, I appreciate those who did it. We were just having a discussion, which is kind of off topic, with the transgender. They trying to ban the transgender in the military, and I said I don't understand. If they want to let them, why you let them fight? They want to fight. I mean, they want to fight for you. The same people who don't want them to fight, they're fighting for them. You
know how deep that is?
No.
We now have 2 transgender elected officials in the United States. An African American transgender woman was just elected in Minnesota, and a transgender woman, Caucasian woman, was just elected in the city council, I want to say, in Virginia.
Oh.
Yeah.
I heard. I know that there was
city council, either Congress or something, but you got 2 transgender who was just elected.
But yet they can't. Well, I will say this from what I heard this morning, because I didn't really study up on that it was supposedly a tweet from the president that started this whole thing, that he was saying that they shouldn't be, but there was nothing. There's no paperwork filed.
Right.
There's nothing. I don't know what the whole chain of command is, but there's nothing in motion besides the conversation. But we all know how the conversation can lead to what you don't. So I get that they want to be proactive, but I think it's a bit much, because I think there's a transgender man who is suing the president because of that. I don't really understand that part, but I don't get it. But I'm gonna say this: thank you for your service, and I hope that you you get what you want. Because if you ask me to go out there, I'm going to remind you, what's that lady man name that said that?
The lady man?
I'm going to tell you what I'm going to say. I'm quite sure that that's not politically correct, but I'm telling you what I'm going to say. And I'm going to say that because I need you to know who I'm talking about when I make my point.
Right.
I'm here for you're not going to be able to do that on the front line unless it's your last meal.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. I'm scared. And that's why I'm saying that these people want to actually go out there. That is for you. Maurice brought that for you. Isn't he so? Listen, we have an awesome guest here, man. Good guy. And I flaked on my my Popeyes.
That's okay.
I was trying. Lasha.
Oh, glory.
Lasha. Was I not up and down the road looking, trying to get to the Popeyes? Are you not listening to me?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Because she got cake, y'all. Listen, Nicole, let me first say our
good.
our producer, Nicole, has a birthday today. And our awesome guest, Mr. Maurice, brought her cupcakes. Now, Nicole, I want to make sure that... Now, Nicole,
they not going to keep for a whole week. I'm sorry.
Happy birthday to you. We're going to do this for you. We'll each eat a cupcake and tell you how good they were, too.
Oh, y'all terrible. They're
not going to keep for a whole week.
No, they're not. No, they're not. So, I'm gonna send her a picture and she can look back at that. But I hope she's enjoying her day. And I want to thank everybody who is tuning in. We appreciate you. We know that what's on today? Thursday night. Something.
Nothing special.
Scandal.
We don't do that.
Grey's Anatomy, all my awesome shows. Listen, I say I appreciate y'all because those are my shows, so it's important to me. But I'm here.
Well, why would you tell them? Well, remind them. Maybe they didn't even know.
They know. We've been on for months, and that's been on for months too. But they here, and we appreciate them, and I appreciate y'all, really, really do. But tonight's subject, I was telling Maurice about we were supposed to do our matchmaking last week, but then we switched the topic based on the
there's so much going on.
The killing in Texas, for one. And that, which I didn't realize until I read up on it, was majority children. I knew that it was children.
He was targeting.
But he was targeting children.
He was targeting crying children.
That's what he said.
That's what one of the witnesses, one of the people that was in the church.
Wow. You know what irritates me? I have his name here because we have to. I hate to say the name of terrorists because I feel like that's what they want. But people say this all the time. Stop highlighting the terrorists and talk more about the people who lost their lives. Like, put their names out there. Try to do whatever you can to give them some notoriety. Say hey to the family, whatever that you do to try to help make them feel some sense of ease. I don't know, but they don't. Media focuses like people want to know. First of all, was he black or was he white? And nobody wants to say it out loud, but at the end of the day, this first thing, was he black? That's why is that one of the first questions that I'll say a black person say? I can't even say. Maybe a white person say. I don't know.
There was a time when we could assign certain crimes to certain people. It was certain stuff that it was like, I remember the DC sniper.
Yes.
We were surprised.
I know I was. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was very shocked. Only because of the type of crimes, and everybody was making jokes about it, and the type of timing, and this and the other. Black people can't be on time, so can't be like all of that. So
what's shoe bomber? African.
The shoe bomber, yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me first say, Lisa, thank you so much. She says she doesn't watch any of those shows. She likes us much better.
Yay,
Lisa,
we love you.
I can't wait for you to get your show, Lisa. If you want to, put your name in your show in the comments so I can say it. If you want me to. She about to have her own talk show too.
Really?
Yeah. In DC.
Oh.
No, in DC, but that's all right. We'll come up there.
We still gonna support.
Right. We definitely gonna support. Awesome. But yes, I was trying to figure. I did want to know who it was only because you want to see, is this man, was he a sane looking person? I'm saying that because when I was looking at the news, the pastor said he didn't feel like that the guy was a good person and he didn't want the guy at his church.
Right.
So I was like, that's the thing I say. I say that. So it stuck out to me because I say that a lot. Like when I say that about a person, like that to me is probably one of the worst comments that I'm not calling you out your name. For me to say, I just don't think you're a good person. Like that's huge for me.
Right.
And when he said, I was like, wow, I didn't, never heard anybody else say that. And discernment. And so I wanted to see what he may have saw to make him come up with that. All right. I don't hear anything. Is it still good? I'm sorry? I don't hear you right. Yes? Okay. But the guy, he didn't seem like he was, he didn't look, commercial, off or anything like that from looking at the picture. But of course, they tend to put the worst pictures up of us, so can't take that at face value. Listen, y'all, we're just starting a conversation. Today's topic is America's addiction to violence. Stay tuned because we get ready to dive in real deep. We'll be right back.
Man, it is what it is. Man, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is.
This fly T Miles, also known as Tyree Miles, and Mr. Miles the writer.
Hip Hop K, check us out every Friday on Be Exposed Radio at 9/11.
Coming to y'all soon.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
You are tuned in to BeExposedRadio.com.
Not what's going to happen.
That's exactly.
Do y'all think that we're about to go to war with North Korea?
We're going to get tracked down, huh?
Do you think North Korea is going to bomb us? Is it going to be like a nuclear?
Probably.
No. Probably.
We lost all our allies. Yep. All of them.
All of them.
Now, is that because of Trump or is that something Obama
because
did?
of Trump.
He purposely lost them. He said it too. He doesn't want to.
All the people that don't like us now, there are nice pictures of Obama meeting with them.
She said, also look at his past campaign. Most of his endorsements were from the Klan. Y'all about to assassinate me. My phone, my hair keeps getting tangled up in this thing. But I have read this plenty of different times that the Klan, oh my God, y'all about to yell at me so bad. But just tell me if I'm wrong or right. Did they or did they not endorse Obama also?
No, they did not.
Was that a rumor that I heard?
Yes, it was.
I swear in my life I have heard that the Klan has endorsed Obama. I'm dead serious, yo. Like,
You please be careful leaving.
Can somebody Google that for me? I'm dead serious. Like, I read somewhere. I think it was like when he ran back in.
You want to meet his parents? These are his parents.
Says who?
Crystal Renee Radio.
Hey everybody, check out what you missed on the one and only Be Inspired Radio Show.
I'm just thankful this year. I've dealt with some growing pains, and I've overcome some things, and I've also accomplished some things in the process. I've learned some things. Like I've learned, I learned that everybody loves your work until they got to pay for it. That's what I learned. That's what I learned. I learned everybody loves what you do.
The pay?
I mean,
not always.
Listen, the Bible says money answereth all things.
Well,
okay, and there is a place. There is a place where finances is necessary. And when you got kids and when you got a wife and then you doing everything and you top dog at what you do, especially when you weren't in the same place like with this radio show, you ain't in the same place you were a year ago. Should nobody be coming on the show and not donating to your show?
Can you say that on my show?
Should nobody be coming to your show?
Can you say that in the middle of the live?
Make that a promo, please.
Should nobody come on this show without donating?
That is a nice commercial.
I don't care if it's $20.
Donate.
Tune in to Be Inspired every Wednesday live at 7 p.m. right here on BeExposedRadio.com.
Black by Demand Radio Show.
2 years ago. If you broke that bike and it don't work, that's on you, brother. I suggest you get that toolkit out back and then start working with it, right? Yeah. So my son's looking at me like, wow. And I broke down to him how we had got fixing flat tires down to a science. You understand what I mean? Sticking the tube in the water. Right? Talk to me, brother. You understand what I'm saying? Critical thinking. And see, and we look at that now and like kids, they not as on hands like we were back in the day.
That's because nowadays you don't have to put the bikes together anymore. They can come assembled.
Yeah, everything's coming assembled.
In the store, they ask you like if you want it already assembled.
Right.
Back then you just got the box with 1 million pieces.
Right, and today I don't think they could work with that.
It's just like the thought process. Nowadays you get a bike that's already put together. Now when you were younger, you had to put this bike together.
You got to put it together.
That basically closes your mind into learning how to do something.
Yes.
Now you're giving it something. So, okay, you take this. And this is what it is.
Right.
So now we have to run with this instead of teaching the child. This is how you put put this together so you to see the result as this.
Right. Critical thinking. I like that.
Absolutely.
So look, not to cut you off, Miss Denise, but let's go to our first commercial break, and then we're going to come back and finish talking about critical thinking.
You are tuned in to BeExposedRadio.com.
So we were talking about critical thinking. So we definitely believe that critical thinking is one of the first things we need to start implementing, not just simply being told things. Or how about this? You know, we tend to listen to people who get assigned certain positions.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So when they have certain positions, we tend to think that it's truth attached to that because of their position, right?
Right.
Is that always the case, though?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
It's probably one of the biggest reasons we should be doing some critical thinking.
Yes, I agree. I definitely.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Before the commercial break, we were discussing the church in Sutherland Springs, Texas, where there were 26 that were killed. I'm not sure how many were injured, but there were, as of now, 26 people that had died, ages between 17 months and 77 years old, and between 12 and 14 were children, which is crazy to me. But what got me is the reason for why he did it is a spat between him and his mother-in-law. And the mother-in-law wasn't even in church that Sunday. Or I don't know if she was late. It was her church.
Right.
And now the grandmother-in-law was there, and she was murdered. But the actual person that his issue was with wasn't there. And you kill all of these people and injure however many more, and the one person that I'm assuming you were targeting, and he texted her that morning.
Wow.
So I'm not sure what the text said, but they were still going back and forth from what the police report says. And on Facebook, they said that he was putting up a lot of anti-God and gun things, you know, like that on Facebook. And what got me is that in 2012, he escaped from a mental institution. I mean, accused of abusing his wife. He was sneaking guns on the Air Force base and made threats against the commanders. I'm trying to figure out how this man got a gun with this history.
Yeah, our African American man can't even have an argument with somebody in the grocery store without getting arrested.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's crazy. And it was a video out the other day of a black man going to a gun shop trying to get a gun, and a man was going back and forth about he didn't want to sell it to him and all that.
He believed he was going to sell it.
Right, to somebody else. So like, first of all, sir, you can get a gun anywhere. Like, I'm not going to come into your store and legally purchase a gun with my name on it
to sell
it to someone else. That part I didn't get. But it's crazy because I'm like, okay, so this man putting these things on Facebook, he's making these threats. Nobody is taking him serious, but yet he escaped from a mental institution, and it's just, you know, what? How did that go over their head? I mean, and it might have been we might have done it too if it was us, but I don't know.
All of that slipped through the cracks.
That's a lot. That's a big old crack. And he was well, I don't know if he was arrested, but he was being investigated for the abuse. He had violently shook his child. The child had a fractured skull, subdural hematoma. I mean, like, these things are proven.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we are depending on these gun shop owners to follow proper protocol when they're making sales. And who's to say that the owner actually did follow proper protocol? Just the African American man was refused the sale of a gun. Who's to say that if had this guy walked in, he would have just sold him one, you know, out of protocol. So we don't.
Yeah, and it was Texas, and I think I'm not sure if it's easier. You would just assume because they say everybody got a gun in Texas, from what they say. So I don't know. I will say this: I think that he did get shot by somebody at the church who had a gun.
I thought it was someone from the outside.
Outside of the church.
When it comes to that part, it's murky. So, like, the gentlemen who chased after him, they said that they shot at him, right? The police report right now is saying that it was self-inflicted, right?
The last one.
Right. Shots. So they're saying that preliminary investigation saying that he shot himself. But the other gentlemen are saying that they definitely shot at him. So it won't be until they do the full autopsy will it come out who shell casing comes out of that body.
Oh, okay. But he got shot in the leg, and
if he had shot himself, then no one else has to be.
I thought they said like the leg, torso, and head. So I just would assume. Reading it, it seemed like the body shots was from the person shooting at him, and then the head shot was probably self-inflicted. But at the end of the day, I don't want to say thankfully he's not here. I don't know how to respond to that.
You never want to say that.
Right. That's why I said I don't want to say that.
But he did. But some people just don't need to be around other people.
Right. Well, if he's escaping from mental institutions, which I don't.
How do you escape from
I don't get that one at all. How do you escape from a mental institution and then all of this other stuff is taken lightly? That's what I'm saying. Now, I can see that these were, I know they were separate incidences, but the fact that you were in a mental institution and then you're threatening me, or you were in a mental institution and then you're buying guns, like, I don't get it. But it's not for me to get. These people lost their lives. I'm sorry to hear that.
Well,
what?
No, I mean, I understand he was in a mental institution, but a lot of people have been in mental institutions that aren't necessarily diagnosed with anything specific that'll carry on. They're actually pretty hesitant to assign a diagnosis because it carries on with you for a long period of time. I say that to address the fact that whenever we have these instances that occur, we're quick to run to the whole, it's a mental health issue. And we don't associate these people as terrorists.
Well, I mean, really, there's only one demographic that actually get to, be blanketed by that term, right? And so let's call it what it is, white male privilege, right? And so, of course, how dare he, but it's the truth. If you look at any other demographic of people, right, people are held accountable, right, wrong, or indifferent. So,
well, like I said, I wanted to touch on that because this is what led to this conversation. But at the end of the day, this man lost his life. 26 others lost their lives. Let's keep them in prayer. And let's really talk about what the main issue is, and that is the constant focus on an addiction to violence, not just here in Baltimore, but in America, period. There's a reason why this is constantly happening back to back to back to back. So when we get back, we're going to dive into some questions. I'm just going to ask y'all before we leave, in your opinion, those who are watching, what do you think we are missing as a nation, as a humanity? What are we missing as a human being that this is constantly happening and we are constantly blindsided? Is there anything you think that just constantly going over our head? And we'll talk about it when we be right back.
Be Exposed Radio.
And more money, let them know like you're gonna get a hit if you do some rap stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, appropriation, like, they be getting their money. I was just about to talk about that too. Appropriation. Is it appropriation when they do? Because Miley Cyrus. Like, think about it. You got like Miley Cyrus. You had Justin Bieber, and you had like even Katy Perry and Pink. You remember? I don't know if y'all remember Pink. 'Cause she used to do like some hip hop stars, some like R&B stuff too. Do you think that's appropriation? Are they taking from the culture without like?
I don't know. Like the way I look at it is, if it seems forced, then 9 times out of 10 it's not really them. Yeah. So then it's appropriation. You feel me? But if I hear sincerity and the genuineness in what you're doing, and if they decide to label it hip hop, and your skin ain't the typical hip hop skin, you feel me? I can accept it as hip hop, like, cause hip hop it's what we do. Like, you feel me? Like, people don't look at it like that, but it is. Like, and Busy B himself told me that. You feel me? Like, rap is a thing that we do. You feel me? And hip hop is something that we live.
Right.
So if you telling me your truth, but your skin and my skin on opposite sides of the barrier, who am I to say that that's not hip hop?
That's true. That's true. Now, and we got a newer person. I don't know if y'all know about this, but we got a new person that's kind of like on that culture too. Well, she's not really new. Fergie. Y'all remember Fergie
from Black Eyed Peas?
Yeah, yo, I heard she got a new album out, and I was unfortunately I was listening to this with a female friend of mine, a few weeks ago, and I'm not gonna lie, bro, it's actually pretty good. And I was real surprised, yo. It's like
what's up, guys? It's your boy Shepsworth Bentley, and make sure you guys check out Homegrown Radio every Sunday, 7 to 8 p.m. right here on BeExposedRadio.com. It's new, fresh Baltimore radio.
Are tuned in to BeExposedRadio.com.
Not what's going to happen.
That's exactly.
Do y'all think that we're about to go to war with North Korea?
We're going to get tracked down, huh?
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
We're back. Before the commercial break, the question on the floor is what we were missing as human beings. What are we missing that this constantly keeps happening? And I'm just saying human beings because it doesn't matter what race you are, nationality. I mean, this is happening everywhere. Crime is everywhere. Violence is everywhere. There's no getting around it. And I'm trying to figure out how many more churches, how many more schools, how many things are going to get shot up before we put some feet to pavement, or at least have some conversations, not just talking about what happened, but how we can stop it from happening. And in order for us to talk about how we stop it from happening, we must first figure out if there's anything that's going right over our head that we're just not paying any attention to. Because most of the time when stuff like this happen, the person will say, were there any signs? Did he do anything that make you, we just said it. This man is putting Facebook posts up. He's putting anti-God posts up. So, I mean, shut up a church. Have issue with the grammar. All these things now is what you pay mind to. Like, what if you would have paid some mind to it then? You know?
Keisha.
Yeah.
If that's the case, 40% of my Facebook friends are about to go do something crazy. Because everybody has a problem. Everybody has issues. We don't necessarily know who's going to take it over the top. So we see these things, but especially with social media, you don't pay it any attention because everybody, this is a safe zone to just say whatever. I can say whatever I want.
Well, no, they locking people up now from Facebook.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm just saying it's common.
Well, I mean, and I said this while we were on break, was that America has an addiction to violence. Violence equals entertainment. Right? So it's going back to the Gladiator, the movie The Gladiator, Russell Crowe, when he's in the Coliseum and he goes and the audience is like, kill him. And Russell then turns to them and say, are you not entertained? And, and it became this big piece in the movie, so much so that Jay-Z used that as a hook in one of his songs. Are you not entertained? Like, violence is entertainment, and it keeps propelling itself, and so I mean, and we were talking about this, Keish, we was talking about this during the week, right? And so we talked Monday morning about this show, and so in my research I'm strolling through the cable channels. This is Monday evening, and on one cable channel you had Killer Kids. These are the topics of the TV shows, right? So you had Killer Kids, Kids Who Kill, Women Who Kill. On another show, on another channel, you had a Snap Marathon, which is, women who snap and kill. Then on another channel, you had Fatal Attraction and For My Man, which is women who kill for their men, right? And then on all of the national and local media outlets, you had the worst mass shooting in a church, in a house of worship. That was the reigning theme, right? They kept saying the worst mass shooting, right? And so what that does is it breeds copycats, right? Because how do you become infamous? by overdoing or doing more than the person who did before you, right? And so you have that. And then, of course, we have all the blatant violence in music, right? When you look at, again, the movies, right? We call it action, action films. I love action films. But what do you love about the action films? You love the big blow-ups, right? The explosions, the people, the people who get their heads blown off, right? So you love all of that. Then you go into the video games, right? So you got Grand Theft Auto, you got Call of Duty, and you got games now that are even worse than those, right? So when you look at all of that combined, America is addicted to violence. Violence equals entertainment.
So is this, you say this is innate, this is what it is?
It's just a part, it's just a part of our sin nature. And I know you're going to hit the bell with me, but the kingdom of God suffers violence.
I didn't
the man himself.
Right, no.
But it's innate in us.
How you doing, Mr. Byron Smith?
We all have it. I don't even know what's vibrating.
Listen, I agree. I mean, I don't know. I am also an action movie buff. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I think the difference between us and the youth is that we can, I never say compartmentalize. I understand what's real and what's not real. I understand that, that just empathy for people. Right now, you see. I'm sorry, you got Warren's message?
Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Warren said that as a society, we have no inner moral compass. We allow external influences to dictate our behavior, whether it be entertainers, say the word, please.
Promulgating?
Yep, thank you. Code of behavior or major organizations like the NRA that promote self-preservation via constitutional rights and the Second Amendment. So I totally agree.
Why
but
you so
I can't rest on it's an America thing. I really it's not American. It's
not American.
It's natural. If you look at how other countries treat their people. They test bombs and chemical warfare on their own people. If you look at how.
But is that about violence?
Look at how the Arabs celebrate. When they get excited, what do? They pull out their guns, drive around in circles, shoot in the air. Those things, the ability to take life and create life, make you feel godlike. So when you're able to, or when you feel like you have the capability to take someone's life, it makes you feel, it stimulates your ego. Everybody has an ego that wants to be stimulated, and some of us have not been able to identify those things in a healthy way, which results in all of this nonsense. I mean, the abuse is horrible.
But going, you just used, would you say Arabics? I'm not even sure the name and stuff. Arabs, they're not capitalizing on that type of violence. I mean, that's their way of life. And though I get, I agree with what you're saying as far as the whole godlike my thought process, but I don't think they're not making money, and they're not using the media to constantly get into the people that this is okay so that they can capitalize. The media is doing this, in my opinion, so that we can have shows like what you're saying, that we have.
The 1980s, the deadliest decade, the copycat killer, the Golden State Killer.
So, but what though? Why do we? If these are things that are actually happening in the world, why do we think that the media won't utilize those things for their benefit? If the purpose of the media is
art imitating life, is what?
Yeah, if the purpose is to provide the people with what they want to see, and we have proven.
Well, that's the problem. Why do we want to see it?
And just going back to what you said, so like the old adage, right? The old cliche, the old adage has always been does art imitate life, or does life imitate art?
And I believe that life is I think, I'm not going to say that. I think that art imitates life in a way of, I want to make sure I say this right. Like, I think it mirrors what's happening, and then they embellish. And then we tend to, I think it's a circle. I think we tend to then try to match whatever it is that they put out there. Oh, that ain't nothing. I can do that. And then it constantly goes, and it constantly evolves. And now it's about the biggest gun and the biggest, even when you watch, we both are Walking Dead fans. Okay, say nothing. Say nothing.
Don't say anything.
I'm sorry.
I just shook my head.
But I'm saying that to say, every season we hear them say it's just going to get bigger. And we and you look back at the old Walking Dead, and we love that. I mean, we was like,
and it was just zombies.
That's it. There was no shoot 'em up, bang bang. They could barely find guns at first. I'm still trying to figure out where all these bullets is coming from, but at this point, now we're in the 8th season, and they gotta go larger. They gotta go larger at this point. And I'm like, how large, realistically, can you get?
It was big. It was big enough when they hit Glenn. Like, they should have just left it alone.
Right, and there was no guns.
There was no reason.
There was no guns in that. And
but you know what? Nobody enjoyed that.
But also, speaking to what you just said, that there are no guns. There are countries where there are no guns. Like, law enforcement do not have guns.
Where is that? Is that England? Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah.
But not only England, you have you have countries that they don't participate. Law enforcement don't have guns, and if you look at their crime rate is like decimal, and so. The whole, again, going back to the whole addiction thing, right? Our addiction to violence is very similar to a person who is addicted to drugs, right? And so, at some point, one or two things have to happen. Either we have to go cold turkey and say, you know what, I've hit my rock bottom, I'm done, and that's it. Or we continue to use until they put us in the box, right? And so our addiction to violence is going to, where's the tipping point, right? So you had a mass shooting at a movie theater, you had a mass shooting at a concert, you had a few mass shootings at churches, you had a mass shooting at an elementary school, right? And so, everybody say, the babies are supposed to be protected. The babies weren't protected, right? And yet, it took maybe 3 months, 6 months, and then we moved on from Sandy Hook, right? And then it was something else, right? And so there's constantly, when do we reach our rock bottom in terms of our addiction and say, hey, is it at a senior citizen home where at what point do we reach our rock bottom and said, guess what? That's it. That's it. Something has to change.
I don't think that we will. I believe that you live by the sword and you die by the sword. This country, as America, was founded on the ability to have guns where the natives didn't. So it was their ability to produce those weapons from the very beginning is what they utilize, in addition to all the other manipulative tactics that they use. But that was the tipping point. So if that worked from the beginning, let's build on that.
Right, and that's exactly what they did. And they're building.
And it's not going anywhere. And if you try to take their guns, we will have another civil war. And guess what? Us that are speaking of gun control will lose because we don't have any guns.
Let me correct you. Let me correct you in the sense that I am not for gun control. I believe that you should have the right to protect your family. That's my thing. Being able to protect your family. What I think we have to do is we have to do things differently, right? You can't continue, what's the saying? Insanity is continue to do the same thing over expecting a different result. So clearly, our laws, right? Our laws need to be tweaked, right? In the sense that it has to make sense. The fact that this gentleman, this guy spent time in a psychiatric hospital and then was able to purchase guns, right? The kid from Sandy Hook, right? That kid was able to get hold of a weapon after, you know, he's been diagnosed with all of these schizophrenics and you know, and so
but that
all
weapon
of these
belonged
people,
to somebody else, though, right?
his weapon belonged to his mom.
Right.
But again, like all these people, these mass shootings, right? All of them had some form of psychosis, right? It's been proven that they had some type of psychosis. And so again, we have to do things differently, right? I'm not saying that people shouldn't have the right to bear arms. No, that's not it. That's not the solution either. However, we have to do things differently. Also, in terms of our addiction to violence as it equates to entertainment, right? We have to begin to dial it back. When do we get to a point where we say that explosion is just way over the top?
We're not, because
there's nothing wrong with explosions. Explosions are cool. I don't want to get rid of explosions, but I did just tell. I literally just told my son today in the car, why is listening to this music okay with you? All they talk about is sex, murder, and drugs.
And wearing a wedding dress while they're doing it.
Oh, Lord.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's one of them.
The video with the boy with there was a, I don't know his name, with the wedding.
See, I only listen to old school.
I don't know, but yeah, but I'm like, why is that okay with you? Because you weren't raised in that environment.
Which takes me to my next point. Let me say, Rachel said, what scares me is how these kids today, how they talk about killing and how they just want to die and how better off things would be. This is third graders talking like this about suicide.
It's music.
Right.
I mean, there's a song I was listening to. I'm sorry. It was a song I was listening to, and the hook was like, I just want to die. Now, if you listen to the whole song, he went from I want to die to I don't want to die and why he want to live. But if you don't hear the whole song, you would think that this guy is going to kill himself.
And
it's okay to talk like that.
You know what gets me, and not trying, be regular commercial, but not trying to keep, like, trying to plug my book. But I told you that this is why I wrote the book the way that I wrote it. Because why is it that the media can subtly get into a person's mind and convince them of things without them even knowing it? Those subtle things like that, I just want to die, even if it was a small part of the song. If it's connected to a nice beat, that's the part that's going to stick with them.
What's the name of the book?
My book is Nivea.
My book is
Nivea. But listen, we'll be right back. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. Stay tuned. We're still reading your comments. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, this is your girl, the one and only Vic Cows. Check us out every Saturday from 5 to 7, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
Whatever parents, they gotta have the best of everything. Or when you go to school, you gonna kill them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you look and it's like, did you have it like that when you was in school? Nah, girl. My parents, I had to go to school with stuff, old tennis shoes and stuff like that. I ain't gonna let my kids go there, but a decent pair of tennis shoes, a decent slacks, whatever. I'm kind of glad that they did the uniforms.
Oh my God, they did the uniforms right while I was leaving.
They did the uniforms. It was like 2 years behind me right after I left from school. And I'm like, oh man, it saved a lot for our parents. It helped the parents a lot. But still, they still found the way to live vicariously through their kids.
Yeah. Because like with my daughter's school, when she was in school, as long as she wore the shirt, the school shirt, she could wear any pants. Or as long as she had like the cardigan on, the school cardigan, she could wear any outfit.
And do you realize, like private schools, county schools, deep county schools, they've been in different towns. They already been wearing uniforms. Even when you watch like an after school special, they have on uniforms. We're the only ones in the urban areas that did not have on uniforms.
Yeah.
We still were.
We was late getting
We
them.
were super late.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, good people? It's the man you all know and love, E. Digger. Make sure you check us out every Saturday from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
Is what it is. Radio show.
Go ahead. All right, listen. All right, say situation. Cause I keep telling y'all, it's different situations in the child support thing. You can't just pinpoint one thing. You can't just say, "Oh, here did be. That's why you're on child support." Oh, he this. That's why you're on child support. Oh, she this. That's why she on child support. No, sometimes it could just go off of. Oh, I just called him and asked him, can he pay for the pictures? He ain't want to pay for the pictures. I'm taking his ass downtown. Yup.
Well, you got to know. Know who you dating.
Hold up.
You just like
I just called her. I just called her and asked could she just get Junior some shoes. She couldn't even get him no church shoes. I'm taking her ass downtown. Now when you go downtown, you go down there and you get $500. Right? Now you mad because you get $500 and now you really...
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
We're back. Before the commercial break, we were talking about, Lakisha was talking about her son and him enjoying a song that you felt like was focusing mostly on drugs.
Well, no, not even just a song. I let him DJ, and I said, okay, you know the rules, because I have a 3F minimum. I mean maximum.
And that's the song you like?
No. I have a 3F minimum. Like, I don't like vulgarity, but in this part of life, it's very hard for him to find music that doesn't have cursing in it. Right. So by the third F, cut the song off. Like, I can't do this anymore. And most of the songs, as soon as they come on, is F, F, F. All right, cut it off. So, but he kept skipping songs. Like, he could not find any music that he could play. So he was playing something, and, he was so caught up in it that he missed...
Right.
Yeah, he missed like the lyrics,
the content.
And I said, wait a minute, why do you even listen to this? So we had a whole dialogue about why he liked it, and it was simply because the beat's tight.
And let me tell you, it's a funny story. It ain't so funny now. I'm somewhat ashamed, but when I was a kid, right, I lived right next door to a family of Jehovah's Witnesses, and my bedroom was in the back of the house, and so I would open up the window, put my speaker in the window, and I would be bumping 2 Live Crew.
So who would?
2 Live Crew.
I know them. I mean, but who was you doing this to?
I would
the
just...
Jehovah's Witnesses was next
and now I look back on it as a 45-year-old man. I'm like, oh my God, I feel so embarrassed by it. But it wasn't like, it wasn't the lyrics that caught me. It was the hooks and the beat. Pop that, pop that, and so I'm like 13.
That's the lyrics. You just
said yeah, he did just say that.
I'm like 13 years old, right? And mom's is at work. I got the joint, got the speaker in the window, and if it wasn't 2 Live Crew, then it was NWA, and it wasn't the lyrics, it was the hooks.
But see, the lyrics that's unfair. But back then, NWA specifically, they were lyricists. Like their lyrics, served the point. And I don't think it was for me back then. When I liked them, it wasn't about beats then, and I was a beat lover. This was about it being taboo. It's something I shouldn't be dancing to or listening to.
Do you know how many songs that I've listened to that we grew up on? And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe these songs.
That's why. But that's why. But it wasn't solely because of the beat. The reason why I'm saying that is because.
Some of those songs
not because of the beat. That was because of that BET late night video.
Wait a minute, Push It. That you saw a couple Push It. That was all
that was beat. I'm not saying it was songs.
But the song was like, push it. Like, really? Why are we singing that?
But it was inappropriate, and I think that's what made it attractive. When you're youth and you want to be rebellious, that's what they were targeting.
I didn't realize that.
BBD, they were targeting rebellion. They were targeting, them the teenage years where you wanna. The whole back was closed. Everything was about rebellion. So, but it wasn't about hurting anyone. It wasn't about who drugs. I'm not gonna say it wasn't about sex but even then, that was a person. That was me having a good time.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. And nowadays with music, they're using this. They're using a blueprint that we laid out.
That's their life, though.
NWA, Dope Man. It don't get no wrong than that.
Yeah.
Okay. But you said this is now art imitating life. I mean, this is what was happening. That's still rebellion.
But it's their life now. Like even in the music that we listen to, or that they listen to, that's their life.
That's some of it. Everybody
they might be embellishing
a
little bit, but that's
the point
but
that I'm making.
It's not fictional. It might not be their life.
No, it's based on.
But it's not fictional.
Future specifically talks. I mean, this is where this whole Molly epidemic with the youth. To me, I'm not putting everything on Future, but he definitely made it appealing.
Right.
Percocet, Molly Percocet, because it's the beat. It's the beat. But now, a conversation that you probably wouldn't have had, you're having. Because now Molly Percocet is on your tongue. It's now what's in your mind.
But can you give it to Future? Because Kanye was talking about Molly's or popping. They were talking ecstasy. Yep. So before it was Molly, it was X, right? And they were talking about.
But the response to that is not as big as it is now.
It is, though. Like, it's always been. There's
always with Kanye
passing the baton.
Okay.
It's like the 400 relays, right? It's like the 400 relays. So you take. How did we go from Sugar Hill and those folks, right? The Message. To then we had what was considered the golden era with with those folks, and then we had NWA, Ice-T, all these foods, Snoop Dogg.
That's when marijuana was like the actual talking about drugs in its
songs. Listen though, Kanye, I don't know all of the songs that he did, but to me, it's the repetition in the song. It's not just making mention. Now, if Kanye
it's a chance. It's
said,
a spell.
Right, and that's exactly what it is. And if Kanye said something about ecstasy in his rap, in the flow, that's not going to catch them, like you say, the way Percocet, because now they constantly saying it, and you're constantly putting this in your head, in your mind, in your spirit. So now, with or without the beat, that's a part of your psyche now.
Because I don't remember the beat of the song. I just remember Percocet, Molly Percocet. I don't.
I remember the beat, but not as much as I remember that.
And you have these kids, and that's what's crazy, because when I was doing some consulting with this, it was a charter school that had a middle school and a high school. And so when I would be on the third floor with the middle schoolers would be like singing Percocet, Molly Percocet, or some of the other stuff. And I'm like, how old are you? 12.
Same thing she just said. It's they getting younger and younger. I mean, it's becoming more and more accessible. But when we come back, we're going to discuss this. I want to talk about the 4 influential agents of socialization, starting with that age group, and why it is that you're saying what you're saying, why Rachel says she's saying what she's saying with these kids that's in 3rd grade. And how, if we can go back to that age and see if we can do anything different, then maybe when we get to these teenage years, then maybe we'll, we'll see some different results. We'll be right back.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Be Exposed Radio.
Well, if you made them, take care of them.
Yeah, that's the real. Right. That's the real deal.
It's period.
Right. And all that old money shouldn't go toward this, money should go to. If the child is with one of the parents 24/7, 7 days a week, you don't even come get your child every day. You come get your child once a month maybe, or once every 3 months.
Right.
You cannot dictate where that money goes, especially if the child ain't calling you about nothing. Now, if the child calling you every week, then you can question about where the child support is going. But if every time you pick up the child, they look nice, they ain't complaining about nothing. Why are you worrying about where the money go at?
It is what it is. Radio show.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
It's time for a flashback.
Now, I'm not gonna say all Aries don't know, but
it's just the one you had. That was
just a long line, right? You know. But it's always something that you can
go ahead. So can you recollect any signs that you might like?
October 15th or 16th. What is that?
And Libras.
See, I've had some good Libras and I had one really bad Libra, but he was white, so he f***ed his back anyway. So I don't.
Wait, hold on, wait a minute. Demonstrate. You got to demonstrate the back.
No. Ain't no way.
Not the dirt. How they bust? Let me show how they bust.
And then want to cry afterwards. I mean, what the f*** is the point of the tears? I mean, I can see you shake, yeah, and shake it off real quick, but you crying? F*** out of here.
What was he crying for?
Cause baby, this pussy make that. You in? I got that good nasty bitch.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Hey, we're back. Commercial break. Antoine Wallace put that he disagreed, and he put that it is still repetition if it is listened to over and over again. And I'm going to assume that you're talking about us making the point that if Kanye said, Molly Perkins said, you was talking ecstasy in a rap verse versus a hook, which is a chant, being said repetitiously, that it's the same. You were making a point.
I mean, I do understand what he's saying, but I think that it has a more quicker impact if it's said multiple times in one song,
right? As
opposed to you playing it over and over and over again.
Right.
So I mean, it still has an impact regardless. I think all music has some sort of impact to a person based upon who they are and what stands out to them. But I do believe that having something in the hook per se, because that if you don't remember anything about a song,
you remember the hook.
You remember
that's
the hook.
The focal point. And to me, the verse, how they say when you write, the body is supposed to support your main topic. To me, the verse is the details to support the hook, because the hook is the part. That's the first thing. Most people even write their hook first. You know, like that is the main focus of the song. And then you just, everything else is detail. Everything else is to explain to you what this hook is about. So to me, I don't think it's the same. I understand what you're getting at. If that was, as you were saying, if it's something that that is already in you, that you're already primarily, if he says something about AK-47s in his verse, and I'm a gun person, I'm gonna be like, yeah, AK-47, but.
Well, here's the thing. I don't own a gun. My husband, ex-husband, whatever you want to call him. Which one call. He's still my husband.
I know, but I'm just saying.
It's still in process. But his dad don't own guns, but my son know all these different guns. Like he named guns and gun sounds and all. Where did you figure that out?
Did he play video games that had guns?
Call of Duty?
There you go. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm saying, so it's we expect it to be something that was in them, but it gets put in them somewhere.
Right. Rachel just said, one reason is because most of the parents are so young themselves. They still may want to party and do things their age group wants to do, but they have a child. Let me tell you, we were having an issue with one of our kids, so the dad came into the class and I was like, is that his brother? He looked like a baby himself. He looked like he was between 19 and 20 years old, which is kind of what I want to get into as far as socialization. Because these kids, we all know that the just four of the most influential agents is family, community, which is like school, church, peers, and media. Now there's a whole lot of other things in between that, but those are the four that we're going to focus on tonight. For me, if, like what she said, you have a child raising a child, the first thing that a child learns about themselves, how to do anything, how to speak, how to walk, how to anything, they learn it from their family, whoever they're around.
Right.
So before Kanye can get to him, before Future can get to him, I don't care who you say. It could be Little Richard. I don't know, and he was influential too.
But
but I'm go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, but there comes a time when your peers have a greater hold on you,
absolutely,
than family. And I can speak from experience because I'm gonna tell you, I grew up in West Baltimore, and I had a 16-year-old. A 16-year-old gave me $5 to hold drugs for him when I was 8 years old, right? And so, and that began my introduction into that lifestyle, right? I was 8 years old, 3rd grade, and then big ups to my man. He know who he is, but this guy saved me from doing something, making a really horrible decision. And I'll just try to give you as much as possible. So one morning I'm on Emerson and Pulaski, and I'm out there and I'm selling drugs. 6 o'clock in the morning, right? And so now between 6, now mind you, my mom think that I'm on my way to school. She's loving it because she's like, oh, my baby getting up early to go to school now, right? But I'm headed the opposite direction. And so from 6 to about 8 o'clock, I'm out there pretty much by myself, and I'm making all this money. And so then I'm pretty much sold out, and I'm about to go and count my money. So this one guy, as I'm about to walk past the alley, he like, shorty, you got this, you got that? And I'm like, nah, I'm gonna. And then he pulls out the gun, right? And his partner comes out of nowhere, and they rob me, right? And so I'm hot-headed, right? 2 hours I've been out here jamming. Now they rob me. And so I go to my friend's house, and I'm like, yo, let me get that. And I only got one thing on my mind, is to find these guys who just violated me, right? That's the only thing on my mind, is to find these guys who violated me and do what I need to do, what I feel like I needed to do in my young mind, right? And my man say to me, yo, that's all a part of the game. You got to take that L. You got to eat that L. And it was prolific at the time. It's like, yo, but now I'm looking back as a 45-year-old, this guy saved me from making one of the biggest mistakes of my entire life. And so I share that because you have so many other young people today didn't have a homeboy like mine who say, yo, that's part of the game, you got to eat that. Nowadays, your homeboy gonna be like, you say, yo, let me get that, here you go. And so that's why we're now at what, 305? 100, we're 303, 305, we in that range. I forgot the last count. But let's put it into context, right? Baltimore is a town. Baltimore isn't a city. Baltimore is a town. Baltimore has 600,000 residents in Baltimore City. Staten Island is the smallest borough in New York City. Staten Island has 580,000 people. So they've roughly 20,000 less than us, right? Baltimore has, let's just say, 303 homicides this year. Staten Island has 25. Think about that, right? And so in a town of 600,000 people, we've had over 300 people murdered, right? And why? Why is that? A lot of it is impulse with no self-control, with a lot of peer pressure, with a lot of anger and rage that is as a result of pain, internal pain, you know, that has been neglected by family, neglected by the school system, and so forth. And so you don't want to pay attention to my pain? I'm going to force you to pay attention to my pain, one way or the other. And so that's
or they don't even realize that that's their way of responding to some sort of pain. Because you got some kids who really believe they're oblivious to what they're doing or why they're doing it, should I say. They know what they're doing, but they don't understand it as a response to something so much bigger. People always say, "Oh, well, he just need a man in his life." And the simple is that there is a lot of people that just need a father figure,
the right father figure,
right? Because then you got, like you say, your peers who are influential. But what I don't understand is like, so my question is, at what age? What is the most pivotal age? They say between 8 and 14, or whatever, are the most that's the age that's the most influential. Which is, you got kids just today. Literally, and I ain't gonna lie to you. I was watching the news on my way here. That's why I didn't get the Popeyes. And and they said a group of kids robbed a man. Where was it? Northeast Baltimore. He was taking his child into the synagogue, and and they took the man keys and all that stuff. Anyway, the youngest of the 4 kids was a 10-year-old. I called my house. Where's Cabry? I just asked. No, I'm serious, and that's my son.
Right.
But I don't, because I'm first of all, I don't want to be oblivious. I don't want to think absolutely not, because you get hooked up with, people are at this point, at this age, these peers have so much influence over these kids. You never know. This boy was 10 years old, and they robbing. It wasn't like they gonna get too far.
Right.
Where you going? Why are you going? I ran that summer camp, and that since I was 16 years old. Well, I wasn't running, I was working then, but for the past 5 years it was mine. And they used to get so upset with me. Youth works would get so upset, because I would always put down, I'm gonna get 15. I'm not gonna get a whole bunch of youth works this year. I would get there, and then I would say, all right, well, they always ask, would you be willing to take any more? If you decide, all right, I'm gonna take about 5. Every year, I wind up with about 25 or 30 youth works. And it's so crazy, because it's nobody but me most years. And some years I may have one other adult. Now, I would request older youth works, but asking for someone older is irrelevant. You get them, but it's irrelevant, because they have the training level, understanding. They so young. And then when you have a person like myself, like Lahsa, like when you are so involved, they attach themselves very quickly, to you, because they don't know. And it's amazing to see. And this is older people, and I only got you for 6 weeks, and I tell them that, and I'm saying that to them, like these are all my kids, and I only got y'all for 6 weeks. So I gotta do so much. You have heard me say that forever. I gotta do so much. Only got 6 weeks to do it, but I'm so excited because they absorb and everything, but they grown. So I don't particularly believe that it's not about, because they 20-something years old, but they still 14.
There you go.
They still 14. Yeah. It's something simple as, do you understand that I had to have a class on showing them how to write in cursive, because they couldn't sign for their checks? The youth work people will come in and say, just connect your letters.
Yeah.
Why you gotta tell a grown? Well, most of them grown, even 16 years old. Connect.
Well, and that's where we had this debate, because that concept of grown, right? That's where, because you're 18, because they're 18, 21, right? They are nowhere near grown. I go into this thing when I do like male support groups and stuff. I say there are 3 classes of malehood. There's the grown boy. Right? The grown boy is the one who wants no responsibility, takes no accountability for anything that they do. That's the grown boy. Then you have the adult male. The adult male is only going to take on enough responsibility that suits them. So, for example, I drive for a living, and so therefore I'm paying child support because I don't want them to suspend my license, but I'm not involved in my child's life. That's the adult male. And then you have the grown man. That's the one who shoulders the responsibility of the community, of himself, his family, his community, his people.
Because we need that's what we need to understand. That community is a part of socialization, and even though I've done my part as the family, it's with my child. Right. I've done my part as a family. I can't, even with the peers, I have to pick and choose who I think is a good influence on you, because now I know that you're at that stage. But when we get to community, that's my job with your child, because I now am a part of that community. So if I'm around LJ, I'm a part of his socializing. Right. That's my job, vice versa. If my children are around you, I am consciously bringing you into my child's developmental stage. And we miss that as adults, that we just feel like we in passing. And because I work with youth, yeah, I think that, but I'm talking about in the market.
And that's what
so,
you know, most people don't have that mindset, because if you look at parents around the school, most parents don't want you to say anything to their children.
Right.
When you look at I have all girls at the church call me mommy. All their mothers don't particularly like that. That that they have that relationship, because somewhere along the line we've lost the sense of community involvement in our lives. We've gotten so personal and so private about things. What happens in this house, stay in this house. We've made it so difficult for the community to have an impact.
Well, we went from community to individualism, right? Okay. So you take those terms like iPod, iPad, iPhone, this is mine, MySpace, right? So you take those type of things, Facebook, right? Everything is so individualized. No, this is mine. And because, as sad as it is to say, but it's the reality. You got households in Baltimore and everywhere else, right, where you got 10-year-old kids who are fending for themselves in a house of 12 people, and so if you don't get there early enough, you don't eat, right? Because everything is individualized.
And Rachel just said, because we were going to commercial break, that they hear kids are so lazy that when she hears so much in school, I don't care. But Rachel, and I'm saying this to say, dealing with youth work, since we're going to commercial break, I don't care is a defense mechanism, because they care too much. It's ego. It's like, right. I don't want you to care. Know. That's what it is. I don't want you to know. I don't want you to know that I do care, and I'm gonna have to constantly remind myself that I don't care, because I want to try hard not to care. That's a huge thing. But listen, we'll be right back. We're going to continue this conversation when we come back.
Exposed Radio.
Let me do that.
There's certain things for everybody.
Yeah, like,
you know what I mean?
There's a time and a place for everything. Maybe if I'm sitting down reading a book and then I'm like, all right, cool, let me throw this Lupe on, get this real lyrical going on, and maybe I see a whole nother side of something. But if I'm sitting down with a bottle, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. Like, you might turn on the right Lupe song, you feel me? And because I'm drunk, I'm going to get lit for it. Right. But, yeah, for the most part. No.
What's up, guys? It's your boy, Shepsworth Bentley. And make sure you guys check out Homegrown Radio every Sunday, 7 to 8 p.m. right here on BeExposedRadio.com. It's new, fresh, Baltimore radio.
Join the club that gives you stuff.
Hey, thanks!
Radio Loyalty.
Here's how it works.
Just click on the Radio Loyalty banner right now and sign up. Then, you keep on listening like you already do. But now you earn points. Those points add up, and you can trade them in for stuff in the Radio Loyalty store. Earn more points by sharing your station with friends on Facebook and Twitter, answering surveys, and by using the apps in the New Players App Store. Pretty simple, right?
Radio Loyalty.
Click that banner to join now.
Just a bit outside radio show.
There is one glaring stat that I read about while watching the games over the weekend. New York Yankees went 22 straight innings with at least one strikeout.
Really?
That's a major league record for the postseason.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an interesting statistic.
It is. You know, and then when you think about it, it's like, okay, you know, that, to me, that's like a big reason why, you know, they're losing right now.
Crystal Renee Radio Show.
Yeah, they have plenty of them. We call them pen pals in my family.
So glad you said that word, because I've actually found out that there are websites, ladies and gentlemen. There are dating websites for men who are incarcerated. Yes. I'm so fucking lonely. I just sign up for one of those websites.
Don't do it.
Don't you think I shouldn't?
Because they passing your letters around.
Oh, is that what they do?
And one of his friends go send you a letter, and then they go wind up asking you for a Verizon phone card and a couple dollars on their books because they just spent all that money.
You know a little bit too much.
Their daughter. I told you I have uncles.
Okay.
I know the game.
All right. Well, we're going to talk more about the game. The topic of the day, you guys, is called Dangerously in Love. Pen Pals.
Edition.
Your little...
last time.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Hey, I don't know. One of y'all was speaking before the commercial. Oh, we were talking about Rachel's "Don't Care."
Yeah, and my son, like he gives off this "I don't care," but it's not that he doesn't care. I mean, it's not that he doesn't care. He just does not want you to know where he's vulnerable or his deficiencies are. He doesn't want you to know. So I don't have a pencil all day. You have pencils. Yeah, I have a ton of school supplies. I don't have a pencil. So that's his excuse for why he didn't write his essay for the day. But it's really, I can't spell, and I don't want you to know that I can't spell.
But see, that's what I'm saying. But if we're going back to that word community, it ain't. Back in the day, you can't get away from it. You can tell me, okay, well, I don't have a pencil, and then by the time you get to get him a pencil before you know.
But now you have to rent a pencil in school.
What?
Yeah, if you want a pencil, you have to give teachers some money or use your cell phone as a pencil.
Right.
What?
Yes, I mean it's not easy. I mean, they make things very, very difficult. I understand why, but it's a pencil. Like, we didn't have those issues.
But in the school's defense, and I gotta come from because you got a lot of parents who are sending these kids to school with nothing. I mean, they know what they're supposed to have. They know they're supposed to have, by the whatever day of school. They send them with nothing, and then these teachers have to be the one that's constantly bringing.
So what do we do though?
So here's the thing, right? And I think I'm pretty astute to be able to speak about it because I'm constantly doing school supply drives and all of this stuff, and so I get it. Right, and me and my man, I love him dearly, and this is where I disagree with my man Squeaky, because Squeak he will move hell and high water to make sure that these kids and these families have whatever they need to be successful. And a lot of times it be the parents of these kids who don't appreciate what this man does for them, and it drives me crazy, right? And so, like, there has to be conversations to say, hey, listen, right now times are hard for us. And so what Mr. Squeaky, Mr. Carlos are doing for you at the rec center, by giving us these notebooks and these pencils, I need for you to hold on to this, and not just throw it away, not just leave it in your locker or lose it. But I need for you. There was a time when we appreciated what we got. Right, and so you took key of it, and so
but
that's what I don't see.
We didn't have it, and that's the thing.
But they don't have it now. That's what I'm talking about, right? So, like, they don't have it now. I'm dealing with. I see it on a daily basis where you have families who financially are struggling, and so what both of my mans do, Carlos, Squeaky, what they do for these families is truly a blessing. And yet, the kid will get a notebook, get pencils, pens, all this stuff, and then a few days later after school start, where's your notebook? Oh, I left it in school. And then you talk to the parents come pick up the kid, and you say, that Raheem left his notebook. He said he left his notebook in school. That boy ain't living in school. I saw that under the bed or whatever.
And see, that's crazy because he need the notebook.
Right.
So why would you not? I didn't know my son's notebook was missing because he had his backpack every day. Right. He literally tried to make it seem like he had everything together. He went upstairs to do his homework and have a daggone notebook to boot.
And that was for you.
But just to keep from possibly getting in trouble for losing yet another item. But the sense of entitlement that they have.
That's exactly what it is. Rachel just said something, and I think it's a good idea. She said they have a thing called Pride Bucks at school that the kids can earn by being respectful, participating in good behavior in general, and they can use the Pride Bucks to buy school supplies like pencils and headphones for their device.
Guess what?
Then they tend to appreciate it a little bit more if it comes from them.
Right.
My son Pride Bucks is in the washing machine. When I take seriously, when I take his laundry out, it's dollars, whatever their dollars are. It's in the washing machine.
But he has. That's the thing. It's these. You're talking about children who don't have, and their parents don't have. So you would think, you would assume that they would appreciate earning their, when they get it. I know I did, and I'm born and bred East Baltimore, Monument Street. So I know when I got, I was appreciative of stuff I got. I'm still appreciative, of stuff that I got, because that is how I was raised. That's how I was socialized, as you say. And these kids nowadays, like you say, they're entitled. What gets on my nerves, they're hearing. I've heard parents say, like, the state is supposed to give you some, some stamps, or you're supposed to get help with, like, what makes you any different, because truth be told, the way the system is set up, those who have nothing is the ones who get middle class, the one who just needs some help, like, for real, little push. We can't get anything,
And see, but again, like, you have these parents and people, I know people like, dang, here we go again, beating up on parents. But then the reality is that some of our parents, we try to overcompensate for what we didn't have or what have you, right? And so, like, I remember, again, when I was doing some consulting work at the charter school, there was this mom who the administration told her that her child was going to fail. This woman went out and spent almost $1,000 on this girl's prom dress, limo, and all this stuff, when you know that the girl is gonna fail. And then she, I don't give a damn, she's still gonna go, and she tried to get into the prom.
That's her thing. That's her thing. And it's so crazy because parents, because that's what's the most important thing. That's what's. And then listen, and I try to do better when it comes down to school and pushing my kids, because I've become I've always been a bit lackluster on that. Now, not because I didn't care if they learned. I just felt like they learned more from me, or like, this is when I was doing summer camps and I was teaching them myself. But because of that, I wasn't seeing anything coming from the schools that made me feel like push, like I need to do better with that. But I'm saying that to say, I see for myself parents who literally don't care. Like, the goal is to just graduate, however that needs to happen, and it doesn't matter if you actually know how to read, because my nephew was in Milford Mill High School and could not read. He dropped. They didn't put him out. He just stopped.
Graduation isn't necessarily even the end goal for a lot of parents. A lot of parents send their kids to school because they need a babysitter.
They need a babysitter. And then that whole prom thing is a vicarious thing. You want to live through them. Look at my baby. She looks so nice.
And what's crazy is, like, and this goes back generations, but that whole term of, I don't care what you do with your life as long as you give me my piece of paper, right? Give me my diploma so I can put it up on the wall next to my picture of MLK and Jesus and white Jesus.
But it's her piece of paper up there. That's the problem.
Because it stayed with mom.
It's her
stayed out.
But no, it's her piece of paper up there. You want my piece of paper, but most of the parents saying this don't have their piece of paper, so they want to live through you. No matter how you get it.
But let's be honest. Most parents want their children to do better.
Of course.
So if I didn't get it, then my goal for my kids is to
at least shouldn't be that they get it.
But we can only desire to the extent that we've been exposed to. Okay. And that's what I think we miss.
When we come back, I want to get back into some of these things that's happening. These youth here in Baltimore, Maryland. We're going to get back into that. There was recently another attack down the harbor, and the lady was talking about it. Quite a few, actually.
They just pushed the jug in the water.
And I think they're saying that these 4 youth it's been a constant thing. It's not just like a whole bunch of different groups. Supposedly it's just them. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
The Artist Exchange Radio Show every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Real artist, real talk, real live on BeExposedRadio.com.
I was meeting with a friend yesterday, and I've gotten to the point where don't ask me a question because the truth is going to come out. Exactly. Just don't do it.
If you ain't looking for the truth, don't come to me.
Don't do it because I can't hold my tongue, and she wants to be this stylist, boutique
but you're not doing anything in that nature, and I can't take you seriously if you're not doing those things. And I understood why people didn't take me seriously, because I found myself in somebody else's lane. I was good at what I was doing and what I wanted to be, but I wasn't doing it for me. So how can I ask you to take me seriously if I'm living in somebody else's shoes?
And nobody can do what you do, and I think that that's a big problem that people face now. Like, you see what somebody else is doing and you want to do that when that's not your lane.
That's not your lane.
That's not what you're supposed to be doing.
But it's popular, it's getting that person money, it's getting that person applause. Oh, I want applause. I want money. Let me stand over here behind them.
And then a lot of times people aren't honest with themselves either. Like, I was thinking earlier today, I've been woke for almost 2 days, so so you get honesty, and I was thinking, like,
The Artist Exchange Radio Show.
Hi, I'm LeVar Burton, and I'm proud to be a book person. How do I choose a book? Sometimes it's the cover, sometimes it's the title. I guess I'm pretty visual. If a book's really impressing me and the writing is really good, I will peek and see what the last paragraph is, because the endings of books should rock you. I am a book person, and if you're a book person too, read to a child and spark a lifetime of ambition. Join me at bookpeopleunite.org, because reading is fundamental. A public service announcement brought to you by Reading is Fundamental, Library of Congress, and the ad counts.
Check out this flashback of the Artist Exchange Radio Show on BeExposedRadio.com.
So we're going to get a little bit into the album with Miss Amira and learn the basis of it, the Banji soul of it all. So let us know, first of all, what is Banji soul?
Banji soul is basically just real. It's real soul.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
We're back. Before the commercial break, we were talking about the youth and the young people that have been they have been arrested down. I think it's 4, 2 boys, 2 girls. I believe they said it was about 14 years old. I could be wrong, but they do have them in custody for the incident down there. They don't believe, they do believe that it was them that did multiple things. It wasn't like several different groups of youth. Now I'm saying that because that's what he said on the news. That could have been said to try to ease the public, right? Because it could, of course, you can't say these 4 that you have in custody are the only ones who did anything, because from what I'm hearing, there has been a whole bunch of different crimes done by these, this age group or whatever. They're not repping, from what it seems like, they're not repping no particular gang or anything. It's like
just some kids,
ridiculous, crimes. It's nothing like nobody is being shot or anything like that, thankfully. But pushing someone in the water, from what they say in the harbor water, the current is so strong that the man could have, drowned. But I believe someone.
But would they know that? And that's a lot of these kids are doing these quote unquote pranks, and they don't necessarily even realize what exactly.
And so again, like the consequences. This is where I have major disagreements with youth advocates. Because one of the things that I understand is that there have to be consequences for our actions. And when you don't hold people accountable, especially young people, when you don't hold young people accountable, then our behavior escalates, right? And so what happens is, in their minds, so like you said, it's pranks, right? It's a prank. And until I understand the consequence of my actions and know, like, wow, that was serious. And it came with a serious consequence, right? And so someone said to me, what if it was your son, right? Because there was a situation where a young man, 16-year-old, he grabbed a 67-year-old lady at a pool party and he dunked her into the water, not knowing that she had just had open heart surgery, bypass surgery 4 days prior. And so people was like, well, what if that was your son? I said, you know what? If that was my son, he would go ahead and face the consequences of his actions, and I would help to mentor him to make better decisions and learn from that behavior versus trying to protect him from the appropriate consequences of his actions, because I know it's going to escalate.
Right.
I think that's easier said than done, though. I really do. I'm not Now, I tell my son all the time, you commit a crime, you go to jail. Don't call me because I'm not coming to get you.
Unless you got to stash your money somewhere in your mattress. You
Well,
need to tell
even
me about
that, I'm not coming to get you. And if you do something, you come home, I'm going to call the police. But I'll still go get a lawyer to represent you. Like, there's still things I'm going to do to back my child. Now, I'm not going to let them get off scot-free, but they still will have my support. So that's why when I hear stuff like that, I tend to look at the front end. Well, did they even know? Were they privy to this information? Like, because everybody, we want to hold everybody to the same standard, the same level of accountability, but we really can't.
Well, but
I shouldn't say we can't. We shouldn't, because everybody's not at the same level of accountability.
Well, this is the one thing that we can agree, right? In that particular situation, that young man
was out of order.
He assaulted that woman, right? Because he picked her up and he dunked her in a pool of water. Now that seems harmless, right? But he didn't have the backstory, which was she had open heart bypass surgery. But the bottom line is he had no business putting his hands on her, which
the
means
sad
it's
thing
assault.
is the excuse was she had no business coming into their property.
But outside of assault, though, it's disrespectful.
It is very
nothing else.
That's the point. That's what kids. That's gone.
That's what they don't have.
There is no more respect. What gets me now? When we were doing this show, I was talking to Lahsa. I spoke to you about it too.
Right.
My goal was to try to find somebody who had committed murder.
Right.
And the reason why I was saying murder because we were talking about violence and death.
Right.
And I wanted them to come and talk about the aftermath of it because I don't think these kids realize that death is final for that victim.
Right.
You still got to live with that.
Right.
You still have to face that every single day. I haven't killed anybody that I know of. I have never. So I can't speak from that experience. But I can say knowing who I am, I'm not sure how I could sleep at night. I'm not sure how I could go on with knowing that I took somebody's life. And you got T.J. Smith calling it a justifiable murder. I guess if there's self-defense and things like that, but even still, this man or woman is gone. This family had to have a funeral, all of that. They'll be having memorial services forever, and how do you live after that? You have people who completely lose it. Let's use Zimmerman. That man ain't been right since Trayvon. I don't particularly think he was too right before, but his life has been torment.
So I'm gonna give you an example, and this happened here recently. So, gentleman was in his home. He was sleeping. Someone broke into his home, and through self-defense, he took the weapon away from the burglar, and the burglar ended up passing away. Right, end up dead. And so, I think in that situation, that person should be able to sleep a little more easier, right, than somebody who commits cold-blooded murder. But I'm almost certain that mentally he's still struggling as well. But it's a situation of me or him. He came into my home. He violated my space, my family space, but then again, it's a tough situation either way.
But kids are so detached from the emotional part of it. Like it's not real. Like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, the people who watched the disabled man drown and they videotaped it.
Right.
Like you said, it's entertainment.
Right.
It's not real life to them. They don't understand that you have to live after this. Like we have. Did the young man go to the man if they were allowed? Did they go to his funeral? I don't know if they were, because they didn't go to jail.
Probably not, though.
I'm saying for the family, but I'm saying that to say parent respect. Like they need something to know that this is not just a conversation that's going to be had. You're not going to be punished and it's going to be over. This is it for this man. You took this man's life and this is it for you. People look at jail. So we're talking about socialization, and as I'm reading, I see resocialization. And I was like, how you, okay. So I mean, it's common. So I look at the definition, and it says it's a process by which one sense of social values, beliefs, and norms are re-engineered. The process is deliberately carried on in a variety of settings, such as in many single-parent households or military boot camps, through the intense social process that may take place in a total institution. A total institution is a place of work and residence where a great number of people with similar situations are cut off from the wilder community for a considerable time. That's all these different definitions. Then it sounds like it can be many different things, but it's one picture. And what picture do you think it was? Jail.
But you know what? It was a couple of shows back where we talked about the kids that were forced to play role reversal. That was actually a re-socialization project to get them to become desensitized to what they've already become accustomed to.
But you can't really say re-socialization because it's literally breaking down, stripping away all of the things that you know for a period of time. It's not a momentary thing.
Okay.
And the reason why I read all that is because reading it was like, oh, okay. So now I get it. The military, that's re-socialization because there's a strict protocol for the military and the army and so forth, and they completely take you out of one element, put you in another with people, like-minded people, should I say, and y'all have to follow these rules now. I know your mother probably do, eggs on Monday, pancakes on Tuesday, cereal on Wednesday, but in here we do 2 eggs with peanut butter and this every day. This is what. Ooh, he scared me. This is what it is. My thing is though, they didn't highlight that.
Right.
No.
They talked about it in the definition, but they highlighted one thing, and that's jail, which is the most common way to re-socialize.
But it doesn't necessarily do that.
Whoa, does it not?
What, prison?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, and I can speak on it because I've been there twice. The first time I didn't learn anything, So the first time, and this is, I learned so much about the system the first time I went to jail. I went through that process. So I get caught with $75,000 worth of heroin on my possession. I got a 12-month sentence. I did 9 months on that 12. And my lawyer told my mom, he'll be home before Christmas. I came home December 23rd of that year. December 25th, I was right back on Emerson Avenue selling dope again. 5 months later, because, and mommy forgive me, when she came to see me on Eagle Street the very first time, she said to me, because she's terrified, right? Because she know people went to prison, went to jail, and her only child is now in jail. And so she's terrified. And she says to me, how are you doing? And I said, I'm having fun. And she looked at me like this damn fool, right? I'll never forget the look. It was like, you damn fool. But I was having fun. All of my friends that I haven't seen in a minute was locked up. And so either they were on my tier, I saw them doing rec or something. I saw them in chow, right? And so it was like a reunion of sorts. And so I had fun. I really did have fun that first time, right? And so now 5 short months later, I get locked up, and now I'm facing really serious charges, right? For which they want to take me off the streets for 45 years. And I eventually get 7 years, right? And so, but one of the things that I've learned, and so many other people will tell you, is that you learn to adapt, right? You adapt to whatever environment you in. If you grew up in the hood, and then all of a sudden you move to the burbs, right? And you're the only kid from the hood that's in the burbs, after a while you'll be able to assimilate that environment. And so that's what happens. So you are reconditioned to adapt for survival reasons, right? And so, and it's the same thing with the kids on the streets, right? So these kids learn to adapt, right? Because either I'm gonna adapt as the movie and State Property said, get down or lay down.
Mm-hmm.
So you either adapt and you be part of us, or you deal with the consequences.
But then who is responsible? Because if you're using it, and I'm saying that to say that there are some other things that you will be able to be re-socialized outside of jail. Mm-hmm. Though that's what they use, of course, because that's just the easier way, I guess, to explain. Jail has it's consistent. I mean, no matter when you go, it's kind of the same routine.
That's what it is.
You know, for everybody. So, is it us? Is it the community, the parents, or whatever, that we don't have the structure that this institution has? That because if that's all it takes is for you to withdraw them from this community and have this particular type of structure, and they're there for a period of time, and they're now re-socialized.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we? Why don't we have the means?
Why
to do that?
Why do we think that works? Because it has not proven that it works.
Well,
so we don't necessarily need to have those structured patterns all the time. Do you know how messed up military kids are?
Oh yeah.
Do you know how messed up people from the military are? They're just as screwed up as people that have been institutionalized for 20, 30, 40 years. Mm-hmm. And it takes time to readapt when you come back into everyday society. So just because you set up this this protocol and this system, that's exactly what it is, that to make a person be a certain way, that does not mean that that's going to be a healthy situation for them when they are reintegrated into everyday society, because normal people don't live that way.
Well, I think it really depends on the person, because a beating, my first beating was my last beating. You know, where some people
never took all that for me.
Right, like for me, it was more so the embarrassment, because it's like a fight between you and your parent. Like, but some people, if it taught you, like you're not gonna go back a third time. Like some people, it need, because the structure, whatever your family system is, it may not be strong enough. It may not be regimented enough.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If we're going by, I'm just using the agents of socialization, family, community, peers, and media. So if the family, it may not be enough, but then you have community, because these are steps in a child's life. It's not all at one time. If the family don't do it, then us as a community would step in. I don't feel like that we're not, these kids are not getting it in any stage of life.
But there's
I'm sorry. The thing that I want to talk about is the word family is subjective. And I learned a long time ago working with young people. So I did a lot of work with gang intervention, gang prevention, you know, all of this stuff, especially when I was in New York. So in the South Bronx and all this stuff, you know, I dealt with hardcore gang members, right? And so they recruited by using the term family, right? And so one of the things that I've learned is that the word family is subjective, because again, family for you could be everybody eat at the kitchen table or at the dining room table at 6 o'clock. Family for you could be everybody, you know, eat in their room, eat in their bedroom, right? Family for me could be I dig my hand in the pot and go back outside. Family for you could mean that you went to your best friend's house and ate there, right? So that term family is very subjective, and people have been able to use that term family to push their agendas.
I don't. Okay, wait, because we got to go to commercial break. Go ahead.
But why do we look at it as each of the individual sectors have to provide the major support? It's a little bit of all of it.
I agree, and that's what I'm saying. Because what you just said is all of that outside of media, because the family, the friend's house, the however you look at it, even the gang members, whoever is using the term family, doesn't change the fact that it's still community or it's still peers. It's it all works hand in hand. But we'll be right back, and then we're gonna continue this conversation. I think this is our last commercial break before the end of the show. Stay tuned.
We're rewarding you for something you already do, listening to us. It's Radio Loyalty, and it's an easy way for you to get free stuff. All you do is sign up. Go ahead and click the banner now. You'll earn points as you listen. Points you can trade in for great products and services in the Radio Loyalty store. You can earn even more points when you share your favorite station with friends on Facebook and Twitter. Radio Loyalty. It's free to sign up, so click the banner to join now.
Man, it is what it is. Man, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is.
This fly T Miles, also known as Tyree Miles, and Mr. Miles the writer.
Hip Hop K, check us out every Friday on Be Exposed Radio at 9/11.
Coming to y'all soon.
Are you thinking about getting your GED diploma? Well, here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we've got a number of pep talks that can motivate you.
Sometimes things don't always turn out the way you want them to.
You know that feeling? People look at you and don't believe in you.
You want some gentle encouragement.
Then you're on your way to your GED diploma and a better life.
But I know you're probably just a little bit nervous. You can find it in yourself to take that first step.
You can improve your future. You can do this. I know you can.
You need to start pushing yourself.
Now get your game face on and take the first step towards a better life. Hurry up. Don't make me repeat myself.
Whatever level of motivation you need to get your GED diploma, we've got a pep talk that's right for you. Call 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or visit yourged.org for your pep talk and find free GED classes in your area. GED is a registered trademark of the American Council on Education. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Didn't get a chance. You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Oh, we live.
Oh, did you just name drop? She just name dropped.
I didn't say anything.
It's only one.
We go to commercial break. We were talking about socialization in the youth and how interpretation of the different parts of it based on whomever they can use. Right. And you have people outside of the family who use the term family. And listen, and that's probably why these kids are so confused, because it does become confusing, but then it's not, because regardless of which area you fall in, we all, as human beings, need to take part in the development of another human being.
So I'm 34, and I think my generation was that last kind of mode where parents were like hard still and like hovering over you to the point where now your parents are friends and they're closer to your age and mentally, and now that you're competing with people and your parents and grandparents even now. But I think this man on the bus said to me, like, our idea of what community is in our black community is so much different than our parents' generation and then their parents, because back then when something happens, if you did something, you offended this whole block.
Yep.
What you did is offensive to this whole block, and you could get all of us in trouble.
Yep.
Right. Now parents aren't even as aware or concerned with their children, because I got to deal with me. I got to get what I need done. I got to do for me. So the idea of what, especially punishment it's because now those children like my age who got beaten, I can't beat, you can't touch my child. Don't touch my, this is mine.
Right.
So there's no sense of community. So it stopped at home.
Yep.
You didn't get it here. Nobody cares to even say anything to you. Unless you attack their personal space.
But even when it comes down to, and we didn't get into the churches, and it's not the rec centers. I mean, their community doesn't just mean the next door neighbor. It's the corner.
But you can't do things with children nowadays. You can't.
I used to beat our children at the children's church. They got beatings when they come down to children's church to see Lahsa. Oh, and everybody knew. Oh,
so has nothing to do with.
But I spanked those children, and it's funny because as they got older, they made fun of me when they were like 13, 14, 15, big boys. Talking about Miss Lahsa about to beat us.
Well, but you know what? That's unfair. I'm not unfair, but
okay, go ahead. I just want to share a situation that I heard. Situation that I heard recently. this mom, right? So this mom was brought up on charges of child abuse, assault, and using a deadly weapon with the intent to injure. Right? On paper, it looks horrible, right? Come to find out, her child had hit a teacher, and she disciplined her child. The child went back to the school and spoke to a teacher. The teacher now mandated reporters. So the teacher had to call Child Protective Services. Child Protective Services had to call the police. And so here it is, you have this woman whose livelihood is now thrown into chaos as a result of what people say she should do, which is to discipline her wayward child. But when she disciplined her wayward child, now she's being disciplined.
But to me, and I might be wrong, all of this, all of that, all of the young man getting off, and all of this is leading back to re-socialization through the jail.
But that's kind of in the middle. But something happened at home. Something broke down at home, and then that trickled down to community not caring what happens to this individual as they matriculate through life and then get back to their home.
What happened at
But
home
why,
is that
if the mother came to discipline her child, what else could she have done? This is his family now, right? Coming to the community, trying to work with you, because she didn't come because her child hit her. She came because her child hit the teacher.
But what are they supposed to do? So I'm looking at the outsiders, and as outsiders, if I don't do anything and this child ends up dead tomorrow, I'm gonna be accountable for that. So I have to report it. Now it's up to the court system to prove that what they are accusing her of is actually true. Now it's a sad case to go through, but if you didn't do anything,
but even that man they reported, the fact that you have to report it, to me, is all a setup for re-socialization.
Well, it's not a setup. Something happened. Again, something happened, and somebody went too far, and some white ladies came into the system and said these practices are not. There's a standard practice for handling children. I can't be in a classroom with a child by myself. I can't say certain things to you. I can't touch you in any kind of way. There are certain things there's standards and practices. This is what happens with. So I can't do certain things, and it's not a difference of. See, I think jail was the result of nobody doing anything. So now this person was able to then run wild and do what they want to do. So now children have more power than their parents have. And that is an issue, because now I know I'll call the police on you.
You just need to teach your children how to shut their mouth. My son almost, I'm going to tell a story and I'm going to be done. Let me tell you something. No, I'm serious.
Because I ain't got time.
Because I almost got locked up at the doctor's office.
Sorry, don't do it.
I almost got locked up at the doctor's office because they went through the list of questions, and my son was, I think he was like 7 or something, and she was like, I think she asked him, do you suffer any abuse in the home? And he said,
she'll say that right in front of you.
Yeah, and he said, I get beatings. And I'm like, I just looked at him like, I'm about to go to jail. No. Well, I had an older doctor, and she said, do you get beatings, or does your mom spank you? Like she made clarification.
A lot of people, mandated reporters, people who know, do try to maneuver. That's why I say it. To me, the system is designed. I'm not saying that things didn't happen. Of course it is. But I'm saying, to me, it is all designed for me to be a setup so that these kids can go through the expected channels.
Well, I mean, just going back to the topic of America's addiction to violence, right? As we close out, I just want to say to those who are listening, viewing, that it's all right to unplug and to have your children unplug from this violent content, right? It's all right. It's acceptable, right? Take control of your household, unplug from all of this violence that your child or children are being bombarded with, and going back to the re-socialization, right? So introduce a little classical music And you know,
that's all I'm saying. I don't have a problem with
the
it.
future.
Why
with
we
the future.
can't do that? That's my only thing. I'm not disputing the resocialization.
Because they don't want to. Because the parent don't want to listen to classical music. That's why.
It don't have to be.
That's
classical.
exactly what it is.
I just told you what I just tell you about the Kool-Aid that's in my car.
Right.
Like my kids didn't even know it existed because that was my social life. That's what I was my upbringing. I just wanted them to know other things, and I feel like. If you see your child, like I'm looking at my child going another way, everything doesn't have to be what is expected.
But everything won't fit for every child.
And you can't control the outcome of it.
And that's why I'm saying community. Because where I fall, you may excel in that. And if we're working together as a community to help raise these kids, I'm not the perfect mother. You know, you're not the perfect.
Yes,
but if we came together collectively, that I'm saying what you do well. I do something other than that well, and then we work together. We don't do that anymore, and the kids are it's who's suffering. You got these kids, like I said, they pushing people in the water, they beating people up. You're not going nowhere with the car, baby. You stole this man car at the synagogue. Where you going? Where you going? You just said it's a free bus. You just said they got a free bus somewhere.
The Charm City Circulator.
So you didn't even need to steal the car. But exactly. We need something else. So we want to re-socialize why we can't do it.
We just need to learn how to do that at home.
More on the after show.
Right.
Sunset Soul.
He always trying to keep us on time.
Well, yeah, because we about to shut down. It's going to happen.
This is it. I want to say thank you to everybody who's tuned in tonight. I appreciate you watching. We'll be here next week. I believe we're going to discuss the sexual. I'm saying I believe because we switched last week. That's why I stopped talking about what we're going to do next week because you never know. But based on all these people that's coming out with the sexual assault.
Sexual harassment
charges. We're gonna get into that. So I appreciate everybody. We will see you on next week. Thank you again to my guest, Mr. Maurice Good, my co-host, Miss Lahsa G, and also Nate from the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Fridays at 7 o'clock, Saturdays at 12 o'clock for creeping in here, being mean as usual. We'll see y'all next week.
I'm gonna show y'all mean.
No, don't show me.
Hey everybody, check out what you missed on the one and only Be Inspired radio show.
Now here's one little speech I'm going to